Once upon a time, in a vibrant and fertile landscape, the kingdom of Olure flourished, renowned for its steadfast traditions and prosperous citizens. Governed by the wise and venerable King Atilolo II, Olure thrived under customs meticulously upheld for generations. The king, who had 7 wives and numerous children, was a stern guardian of these ancestral traditions. One such tradition mandated that every man must have at least 2 wives, a practice believed to ensure the kingdom's prosperity and continuity. Olure's men were industrious, dedicating themselves to farming, raising livestock, and tapping the abundant palm trees. Their hard work brought wealth and stability to the kingdom, but it also created an unintended consequence. As the men toiled from dawn until dusk, their homes became mere eating houses, and their bedrooms were reduced to places of sleep and snoring. The women of Olure, while outwardly thriving, suffered silently. Their emotional and physical needs were neglected, and whispers of dissatisfaction began to ripple through the community. For years, the women bore their plight in silence. They managed the household, cared for the children, and supported their husbands' effort. But their personal fulfillment was a distant dream. The lack of intimacy and attention from their husbands became an unbearable weight. Slowly, the quiet whispers grew louder, evolving into a collective cry that finally reached the ears of King Atilolo II. King Atilolo II, though a traditionalist, was also a just ruler. He convened the royal council and the elders to address the grievances of the women. After days of deliberation and consultation with the kingdom's spiritual leaders, the kings devised a solution that would restore balance to Olure. On a bright, auspicious morning, the king summoned all the men of Olure to the palace courtyard. The air was thick with anticipation as the men gathered, curious about the king's summon. King Atilolo II, resplendent in his regal attire, stood before his subjects and began his address. "It has come to my attention," the king declared, his voice carrying the weight of authority, "that our men are working tirelessly to provide for their families, yet in doing so, they have neglected the needs of their wives. The women of Olure have been suffering in silence, and this cannot continue." A murmur of surprise swept through the crowd. The king's words were unexpected, but they resonated with a truth that many had ignored. "Therefore," the king continued, "I decree that every 4th market day of the week, specifically Thursday, shall be a day for men to attend to their wives. On this day, all men must ensure the satisfaction of their wives. This is not merely a suggestion, but a command from your king, rooted in the wisdom of our ancestors." The king's decree was met with a mixture of reactions. Some men nodded in agreement, while others exchanged uneasy glances. The king's eyes, sharp and discerning, missed nothing. "If any man fails to satisfy his wife for 3 consecutive Thursdays," the king warned, "he shall be fined 3 he-goats, 1 jar of palm wine, and a bundle of kola nuts. Should this neglect continue for a 4th time, his wife will have the right to choose another man in the kingdom to fulfill her burnings for 1 week. I, the great King Atilolo II of Olure Kingdom, decree and charge you all, the men of Olure Kingdom, to go and use your tin, pennies. Let there be heat in the bedroom. Replace a broken bed. Let the faces of our wives brim with joy in the morning. Let the cries of babies in our kingdom be a music in our ears. I say, go and give them, wives, heat." This is the voice of our ancestors. As the king finished speaking, the courtyard erupted in a chorus of "Your Highness, Your Highness." The men dispersed, some with determination, others with trepidation to fulfill the king's command. The news of the decree spread rapidly through Olure, reaching every corner of the kingdom. Women who had longed for such a day rejoiced openly in the streets. Their jubilation was palpable, a collective sigh of relief and hope. They sang and danced, praising the king for his wisdom and compassion. However, not all share in this newfound joy. A faction of men, disgruntled by the decree, staged a counter-protest. They argued that the king's command was an overreach, an intrusion into their private lives. Some men threatened to leave Olure, taking their aged wives with them. Yet the majority of the kingdom's men, understanding the king's wisdom, choose to stay and abide by the new mandate. The first Thursday arrived with a sense of anticipation. The streets of Olure were quieter than usual as men focused on their homes. The markets were less bustling and the fields lay fallow for a day. In the privacy of their homes, couples reconnected, conversations flew, intimacy was rekindled, and the bonds of marriage were strengthened. The women who had suffered in silence for so long found their voices again. They felt valued and cherished, their needs acknowledged and met. The kingdom's homes, once mere places of routine, became sanctuaries of love and connection. The king's decree brought about a profound change in Olure. Families grew closer, and the kingdom's prosperity took on a new dimension. The harmony within homes echoed in the fields and markets, creating a ripple effect that enhanced every aspect of life in Olure. Despite the positive changes, the transition was not made without challenges. Some men struggled to balance their work and the new expectations at home. Old habits were hard to break, and the fines imposed by the king served as a constant reminder of the consequences of neglect. One such man was Adewale, a respected farmer known for his diligence. Adewale had always taken pride in his work, but his dedication had come at the expense of his family life. The king's decree forced him to reevaluate his priorities. After failing to meet the expectations twice, he faced the prospect of a third failure and the accompanying fines. Determined to change, Adewale sought advice from elders and friends. He learned to delegate some of his farm responsibilities and spent more time with his wives, Amina and Bola. Slowly, he rebuilt the intimacy and trust that had eroded over the years. His transformation inspired other men who faced similar struggles, proving that change, though difficult, was possible. Months passed, and the decree of King Atilolo II became an integral part of Olure's tradition. The initial resistance faded as men embraced the change. The kingdom's reputation for prosperity now included a new facet, one of deep familiar bonds and mutual respect between husbands and wives. The women of Olure, their needs no longer ignored, flourished. They became more active in community affairs, their voices and perspective enriching the kingdom's governance. The cries of newborns filled the air, a testament to the renewed connections between couples. King Atilolo II, observing the transformation, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had upheld the traditions of his ancestors while adapting to the needs of his people. His wisdom and foresight had brought about a renaissance in Olure, one that ensured the kingdom's prosperity for generations to come. King Atilolo II's decree became a cornerstone of Olure's cultural heritage. His leadership, marked by a blend of tradition and innovation, left an indelible mark on the kingdom. As years turned into decades, the story of his wise and just rule was passed down through generations. The kingdom of Olure continued to flourish, a beacon of harmony and prosperity. The men and women, bound by a shared commitment to each other's well-being, upheld the values instilled by their great king, and so the legacy of King Atilolo II lived on, a testament to the power of compassion, wisdom, and the enduring strength of tradition. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.